So my dear children, in the earlier chapter we discussed about the incomplete metamorphosis and the complete metamorphosis, and we identified several organisms that shows incomplete metamorphosis and the organisms that show incomplete metamorphosis, right? Incomplete metamorphosis and complete metamorphosis. Then my dear children, after that, now it's time to discuss several life cycles of several organisms. Okay, here especially we are studying about the life cycles of three main organisms, right? Three main organisms, right? So the first life cycle, actually there are several life cycles to study, but however we are focusing on three main. We'll be discussing about the life cycle of a frog, life cycle of a butterfly, and the life cycle of a mosquito. Okay, and within the lesson you may get to know that there are life cycle, there's a different life cycle of fruit fly and so on, but however mainly we are focusing about the life cycle of these three organisms: the life cycle of frog, life cycle of butterfly, and the life cycle of a cockroach. Okay, so the first thing which is given in here, or the first life cycle which is given here, as you can see, the life cycle of a frog. Life cycle of a frog. So the female frog lays egg in water. The eggs are covered with a jelly-like layer. Tiny tadpole comes out from a hatched egg. It is similar to a fish. It can swim in water and breathes using gills. So my dear children, let's see the key things which are given in here. Breathe using gills. Feed on aquatic plants. And it is a herbivore. Okay, similar to a fish. This is about the tadpole. So if you take the tadpole, my dear children, tadpole is the one or the second stage of the life cycle of a frog. So tadpole is coming out from the eggs. These eggs are covered with a jelly type layer, and the adult female frog lays the egg in water surfaces. Okay, then my dear children, it is similar. Now if you take the tadpole is similar to a fish. Tadpole is similar to a fish. It can swim in water. It has the ability to swim in water. It has a tail and fins-like structures so that they allow to easily locomote within water, to easily move within water. Okay, they have fins-like structures and a tail. Actually the tail is the main part that helps in locomotion. Then it feeds on aquatic plants as a herbivore. If you take the mode of nutrition of tadpole is a herbivore. Tadpole is a herbivore. Okay, means that tadpole is taking mainly aquatic plants as their food. Okay, the main food of organism or the tadpole is aquatic plants. So it is a herbivore animal. Okay, herbivore animal. So the first stage after the eggs is referred as the tadpole. Then tadpole is similar to a fish. It has a tail and fins-like structures to locomote within water. Then it is a herbivore animal and feeds on aquatic plants, my dear children. And the special thing is that they have gills to breathe. Okay, they have gills to breathe. I mean, their respiration is carried out by gills, as it is a type of a fish. It's similar to a fish, not a type of a fish, similar to a fish. Okay, then lot of morphological changes occur within water for the tadpole to become an adult frog. So to become an adult frog, different morphological features are going to occur within the structure, within the body of a frog. Okay, different morphological features can be observed. The tadpole is when the tadpole is getting converted into a frog. Then compared to the stages of tadpole, the adult frog has completely different morphological features. So compared to the stages of tadpole, the adult frog has completely different morphological features. It has got legs for locomotion and lungs for respiration. They feed on small insects and they are insectivorous. So if you take the special features of these frogs, they are way more different. They has got legs. They have legs, okay, for the locomotion. Then lungs for respiration. Lungs for respiration. Feed on small insects, which means they are insectivorous. This is about, my dear children, the adult frog. The adult frog. So as you can see here, when the adult frog is coming out from the tadpole stage, okay, all the features carried out by the tadpole is going to change. There's a medical change within their body plus within their features, other features. Earlier, in the tadpole stage, tadpole got a tail and some fins-like structures for their locomotion. Especially tail was the part which helps for the locomotion, right? However, when coming on to adult frog, it has got legs for locomotion. Now, frogs have legs for locomotion. Actually, these legs are specially referred as limbs, right? They have limbs for locomotion. They are going to hop here and there within the terrestrial land. And in water, they can swim. Okay, and in water, they can swim also. So, my dear children, when you take the adult frog, these structures, the tail and all the other structures are disappeared from the tadpole and they are getting converted into small legs, right, limbs. So these limbs helps in hopping or in locomotion of the frog. They use lungs for respiration. They use lungs for respiration. The tadpole used gills for respiration. I told you that tadpole is like a fish. So fish is utilizing gills in order to, in order to do their respiration. So however, my dear children, if you take the frog, right, if you take the frog is way more different than that. The adult frog is always using lungs for their respiratory process. They are using lungs for the respiration. And the next thing is they feed on small insects. They feed on small insects, right? These organisms, they feed on, right, insects. They feed on insects. To feed on insects, I told you that at the beginning of our lesson, some frogs have long sticky tongue, right? Long sticky tongue. So just by looking at, they can, send the lung, or it can elongate the lung to a different location and catch the prey, especially insects here. Okay. So insects are getting, as a insects are getting as the predator. Insects are the main food type of the frog. But however, if you take the tadpole, tadpole is not going to feed on insects. As we mentioned earlier, tadpole is going to feed on aquatic plant as a herbivore. But however, frogs are feeding on insects and they are insectivorous. Frogs can even eat aquatic plants as well, no problem. Means that frog is a omnivore organism. But however, tadpole is a herbivore organism. It's not going to eat any insects. Main type of food is plants, aquatic plants. So there is a way more different features within their mode of nutrition and the type of food, my dear children. Right? So these are the main features, right? Main changes, differences that we could observe within the tadpole stage of the frog and the adult stage of the frog. Okay. So these are the structures, right? These are the structures which we can observe within the tadpole when the tadpole is getting converted into a frog. As you can see here, it has got a tail and like here, like fin-like structures that helps for their swimming process. Then gradually, you can observe here from this part, gradually the limbs are getting developed, right? Then these limbs are getting developed. Then gradually the tail is getting removed from the body, right? Tail is getting removed from the body. Then tail is getting completely removed from the body. Then limbs are getting much stronger. Then finally, tail is 100% being removed from the body and the adult frog is born like this. Okay. So, as you can see here within this figure very clearly, eggs are getting converted into a tadpole, then the tadpole is getting converted into an adult frog, right? Adult frog. Okay. So, these are the stages of life cycle in a frog. So, frog is an organism who is going to undergo in complete metamorphosis. As you can see here, there is a complete difference between tadpole stage and the frog stage. If you take the life cycle of a frog, these two stages have dramatical changes, right? Dramatical changes features within their morphological features and the physiological features as well. Okay. So my dear children, frog is a good example for an organism that shows the complete metamorphosis, right? So this is how the life cycle of a frog is going to occur. So it's very simple, but however, as you can see here, there are different stages, different structures of frog can be observed when the time is going to pass by. So frog is undergoing in different changes, especially not the frog. The tadpole is the one who is going in different changes within the body structure in order to convert into a frog, right? Okay then. So this is the life cycle of a frog, my dear children. Then you are given with an assignment here, right? Conduct a field visit to a nearest aquatic environment such as a pond. Observe the different stages of frog, eggs, tadpole and adult frog. Then identify special characteristics of those stages. So you have to identify special characteristics of the stages, right? So there are three stages. Three stages were eggs, tadpole and the frog. Okay. Eggs, tadpole and the frog. So you have to go to an aquatic environment, a field trip to an aquatic environment, to the nearest aquatic environment. then you need to find out a frog. Then you have to observe the different stages of the frog. So sometimes you might have to visit several times, or else actually you can do this thing as an experiment within your home as well. Okay, it's in your home as well. You just need to take an adult frog, right? Find out an adult frog. But however, if you keep a pond, a watery pond, if you can create a watery pond by using cement or any other plastic or polythene or any other thing, then most of the times frog will come and lay their eggs on the surface, because most of the times frogs are coming to lay eggs on a watery surface that's not going to flow. Okay, most of the times they lay eggs not on a stream of water, but however, when the water is somewhat still, they are going to lay eggs. Okay, so if you can create like a pond, then most of the times frogs will come and lay their eggs. So by looking at that thing also, you can check out the differences between the each stage of the frog. Okay, so in the earlier lesson part also we discussed what are the differences, main differences of the each stage. Okay, however, once again within this assignment also I'll mention these differences, my dear children. So there are three stages. There are three stages. You know that if you take a frog, there are three stages of a life cycle of a frog. So what are the three stages? The three stages are eggs. There's no that much of thing to write down between the, at the eggs column, there are no that much things to write down, right? But however, if you take the stages of tadpole and the frog, there are several differences. So this is tadpole, then the frog. So we are going to observe what are the differences. So eggs, they are like inactive. You can say that it is inactive as there are no movement, right? By just looking at the eggs, we can't say that they have, like, they undergoes in different biological activities. We can't observe any biological activity just by our naked eye. Okay, so we can refer that thing as an inactive stage. Okay, inactive stage. Then covered by jelly like layer, right? Covered by jelly like layer, right? These are the main features that we can observe within the eggs, my dear children. Eggs are like, they are having an inactive stage and they are covered by a jelly like layer. Okay, we can mention this thing as a protective layer. It's like a protective layer. Okay, then the tadpole. Tadpole is similar to a fish. similar to a fish in structure, then feed on aquatic plants. Feed on aquatic plants, right? Then respiration is carried out by gills. Live in water right. So swimming is the mode of locomotion. So we can enclose the table right like this. So I'll separate the columns. Right, then so my dear children, now we are coming to, I'll erase this part, right? So if you take the frog, frog is having, it's not a type of a fish like in structure, right? Body is moist, right? Body is moist and glandular. Glandular means several glands can be observed on the body of the frog. However, that glandular nature cannot be observed on the body of a tadpole. Body is glandular. The body contains several gland-like structures. Now, if you take a frog, adult frog like this, right, their body, okay, is going to contain like gland-like structures like this. Okay, gland-like structures can be observed within their body. Their body is glandular, my dear children. Okay, their body is glandular. Right? The frog has a glandular body structure. Then live in both land and water. Right? Live in both land and water. Then so as the feeding mechanism is mentioned in the second column, I'll mention the feeding mechanism in here, and I'll include that both live in here at the third column. So here you know that the tadpole feeds on aquatic plants, but however frog is going to feed on insects. feed on insects. Then respiration is carried out by lungs, right? Respiration is carried out by lungs. Respiration is carried out by lungs. Then we can say finally here live in both right. So they live in both land and water, can swim and also hop. Okay, these are the different features that we can observe between the egg stage, the tadpole stage and the adult frog, my dear children. Okay, so if you take the egg stage, right, egg stage, so within the egg stage you can say that egg is somewhat inactive, right? Then it is covered by jelly like layer and it is also a protective layer. If you take the tadpole is similar to a fish in structure and feed on aquatic plants. Respiration is carried out by gills and swimming is the mode of locomotion. Swimming is the mode of locomotion for the tadpole. But however, if you take the frog, body is moist. In a frog, body is moist. Okay, and it is glandular. Glandular means it contains several glands. Then feed on insects. Feed on insects. But however, this one they feed on aquatic plants. Aquatic plants. So respiration is carried out by lungs. Respiration is carried out by lungs. Here the respiration is carried out by gills. Okay. Then swimming is the mode of locomotion. Swimming is the mode of locomotion. But however, as the frog is living in both land and water, they can swim and also hop, right? Okay. So these are the main differences that we can observe within the frog and the tadpole, my dear children. Okay. So I have mentioned the egg stage as well, but however, mainly we are comparing the differences between the tadpole and the frog. Okay, tadpole and the frog. So I hope that you got a good knowledge about the life cycle of the frog now, right? Even we discussed the differences under the assignment part. So let's move on to observe what are the other contents in the lesson. So in the second, as the second main structure or that's the second main life cycle, we'll be studying about the life cycle of butterfly. Okay, my dear children, now it's time to study about the life cycle of a butterfly. Life cycle of a butterfly. So it is given here, butterfly shows complete metamorphosis. Butterfly is going to show complete metamorphosis. So as you can see here, we discussed the thing in the earlier case also. Butterfly is an organism who shows the complete metamorphosis. Complete metamorphosis. So butterfly shows complete metamorphosis. The adult butterfly lays eggs. These eggs are hatched and a larva is born. Now, as usual, adult is the one who is going to lay eggs and these eggs are being hatched to create a larva. Okay, larva is the second stage of the life cycle of a butterfly. Especially you know that this larva is referred as the caterpillar, right? This larva is referred as the caterpillar. So let's move on. Larva is called a caterpillar, right? This larva is called caterpillar and becomes a pupa after some time, right? So this larval stage then converting into a pupa after some time. Larval stage is called as the caterpillar. Pupa stays inside a cocoon. Cocoon means an inactive stage, my dear children. I told you about that, right? Cocoon means it's like a enclosed system. So this pupal stage is also referred as the cocoonal stage, right? So this structure is the one which is referred as the cocoon, right? This enclosed structure is the cocoon. So larva is getting converted into a pupa after some time. Then pupa stays inside a cocoon. This is the one which is referred as the cocoon. And stays inactively without feeding. So without feeding, inactively they stays. So those nutritions are enough. Nutritions contained within the cocoon are enough. Okay, it's not going to feed again, right? So, but there are changes in the body to become an adult, right? So, to become an adult within the cocoonal stage, they're going to become an adult, they're going to show different changes. So, within the pupal stage, several stages, several changes are going to happen for that caterpillar. So upon those changes, the caterpillar is now getting converted into a, not the caterpillar actually here, the organism inside the cocoon is getting converted into a butterfly. Okay, caterpillar is the one who is getting converted into a pupal cocoon. After that, the caterpillar stage cannot be observed. Okay, after that, the caterpillar stage cannot be observed. Within the pupal stage, the organism who is living inside the pupal, right, pupal stage, or the organism who is living inside the cocoon is getting changed dramatically, and it's going to change into an adult butterfly gradually. Okay, so that's how this thing or the life cycle of the butterfly is going to work. Then finally, my dear children, what happens? The adult butterfly bursts through the cocoon and comes out. Okay, so these are the 4 different stages of the butterfly. So butterfly is a very good example. Unlike the frog, all 4 stages can be observed. Even though frog is going to show the complete metamorphosis, mainly we can observe 3 different stages within the frog. But however, all 4 stages can be observed within the complete metamorphosis of the butterfly, right? So those 4 stages can be defined as eggs, larva, pupa, and the adult butterfly. So eggs, the adult butterfly lays eggs on the plants. Then the larva or the caterpillar coming out is going to feed on these tender leaves, then creating a pupal stage, a cocoon like this. Then the cocoon is getting burst out to produce a good and a beautiful butterfly, adult butterfly. So this is how the life cycle of a butterfly works, my dear children. Okay, then with the development of the butterfly, several structural changes are going to happen. So within each of these structures, let's see what are the key things that we can observe. So it is given that the specific features in each development stage of the butterfly. Within each development stages of the butterfly, what are the key things or key features that we can observe? So let's see. First one, eggs. So you know that eggs are like an inactive stage. Okay, so eggs stick on the lower surface of the plant leaves. So butterfly, they lay eggs on the lower epidermal surface of the plant leaves. Okay, and like an active stage, small bit of an active stage. Then the caterpillar. So there are not that much big things, that much big features to observe within the stage of the eggs, as they are most of the times inactive, right? Not actually most of the times, 100% are inactive. Inactive means they are not showing any different features. They can't locomote, right? They do not show any nutritional things, right? Even they are respiring, we can't observe it very clearly. So therefore, we can say that it is inactive. So therefore, we can't observe any, features, advanced features within the eggs, right? So within the, within the butterfly, in the egg stage, my dear children, we can't see any significant features, right? As they are like inactive to our normal naked eye. Okay, right. Then if you check the second stage is now somewhat active. Not somewhat, it is 100% active now. Second stage, or the larval stage, or the caterpillar. Let's see the features of caterpillar then. Caterpillar is the larva of butterfly. Okay, caterpillar is the larva of butterfly. Caterpillars are normally matched with the surface they attach to. They use legs for locomotion. I told you at the beginning of the lesson, my dear children, most of the times these caterpillars, they are showing similar color to the environment color that they are living on, right? Especially this feature, we refer this feature as the camouflage. So camouflage can be observed within the caterpillars. Most of the caterpillars are showing camouflage, means they are similar to the environment color. What's the use of that thing? Because caterpillar is a like somewhat sensitive stage. Sensitive stage means that's the stage which the organism is much more vulnerable to external threats like predation. Predators are like, ones who are going to catch and eat these organisms, smaller organisms. So if you take birds are the main predators of caterpillars. However, if they are going to show the camouflage, right, then these birds will not be able to clearly identify caterpillars from their environment. Apart from their environment, birds will not be able to clearly identify caterpillars. So in that case, my dear children, it gives a, an upper hand stage for the caterpillars to live without going into predation, without getting into a prey, right? So it helps to avoid from predation. Okay, the camouflage, a good adaptation shown by the caterpillar stage of butterfly, avoid from or in order to get in from predation, my dear children. Okay, so most of the times caterpillars are going to show camouflage. Then caterpillars are normally matched with the surface they attach to. They use legs for locomotion. Caterpillar feed on tender leaves and grow. There are specified mouth parts in it. So caterpillar feed on tender leaves. So like I said, they're going to feed on tender leaves. Okay. If you take a potted flower plant, usually most of the times you may have seen that tender leaves of the potted flower plants may have been eaten by certain type of a species of an insect. So that insect is the caterpillar most of the times. Okay. So caterpillar is feeding on those tender leaves in order to grow. Right? In order to grow, caterpillar is going to feed on those tender leaves. Okay. So my dear children, specialty here is that caterpillar contains special mouth parts. Caterpillar contains special mouth parts in order to have their nutrition, right? And the main type of food is tender leaves. Okay, tender leaves. Then there are hairs containing venom to protect from others. Other than the camouflage, my dear children, caterpillars are having venom, right? Caterpillars are having special kind of a venom. Within the body, there are hairs, and within these hairs, we can observe that venom. If a certain animal or organism come in contact with those hairs, then there might be complications within their body. Even for us, if you touch a caterpillar, not with your palm, but from your skin, other places, then definitely that place will definitely swell. Okay, and it will become in red color. So we have to apply different chemicals and any other medications to overcome it. Okay, so these caterpillars, they show, other than the camouflage, they show venomic hairs, or they have venomic hairs to avoid from, or to get away from, or to protect from their predators, my dear children. Okay, so these are the special features carried out by, these are the special features that can be observed within the body structure of the caterpillar. Okay, so as you can see here, caterpillars are showing different adaptations to fit onto their environment. They have camouflage, they have venomic hairs, and they have even a mouth so that they can eat tender leaves. So they have different morphological features, way more different morphological features and adaptations to live in these environments where they are going to survive at the larval stage. So those are the features of caterpillar, or the larval stage of the butterfly. Now let's head on to the third one, the cocoon. So like the egg stage, the pupal stage or the cocoonal stage is also an inactive stage, my dear children. I told you that. So pupa is an inactive stage in a pupal cocoon. It does not feed. So it does not feed. As it cannot move, it does not feed at all. That's why it is referred as an inactive stage. All the nutrition took by the caterpillar is now enough to grow into an adult. Okay. Within the pupal cocoon, the necessary nutrients are there. So it's not going to feed. Every part of butterfly body is formed in the pupal cocoon. Now, every part of the butterfly, adult butterfly, is growing within the pupal cocoon, right? So pupal cocoon is the structure that develops adult butterfly. It is the structure that develops into an adult butterfly, not the larval stage. Larval stage is way more different. Within the pupal cocoon, the larva or the organism who is living inside the cocoon is getting developed into an adult butterfly. Okay. So every part of the butterfly body is formed in the pupal cocoon. Pupa stick on a surface. So as they are inactive, pupa is going to stick on a certain surface. That's it. It is not going to locomote. It's not going to feed. Just staying over there, right, for few days, then converting into an adult butterfly. Entire process of transformation happening from within the adult cocoon, within the cocoon, my dear children. The adult butterfly can be observed right after bursting out This is the organism from the cocoon. Okay. So my dear children, this third stage, the cocoon stage, the almost all, I mean like 100% of the adult butterfly is getting developed within the cocoon. Organism inside the cocoon is the one who is getting converted into an adult butterfly after the larval stage. Then the final one, butterfly. Adult comes out, break in the cocoon. So by breaking or burst in the cocoon, adult comes out. Adult feed on nectar. So it feeds on nectar. Butterfly feeds on nectar. Unlike the caterpillar, now pupal stage, no feeding mechanism, no feeding as it is inactive. But however, if you come into the second stage, which is the larval stage, a larva or the caterpillar, it uses tender leaves. It uses tender leaves as the main food item. However, the butterfly is using nectar as the main food type. So their food type is now changed from leaves to nectar. There is a specialized organ called proboscis. I told you about the proboscis, right? In the earlier chapter when we are discussing about the metamorphosis carried out by the butterfly, right? So proboscis is the special structure that has or that contains within the body of an adult butterfly, right? This proboscis thing can be inserted into the flower to suck out nectar from it, right? So proboscis is really helpful to absorb or to get nectar from a flower. Okay, so proboscis is the special organ that used to suck nectar in an adult butterfly. But however, my dear children, within the caterpillar, if you take the caterpillar had mouth parts to eat tender leaves. As the caterpillar is going to eat tender leaves, it had mouth parts. But however, those cannot be observed within the adult butterfly. It contains a proboscis to suck out nectar from flowers. Okay, so these changes, body changes are right dramatical. You can see it. The larva is somewhat different kind of an animal and the butterfly is also a different kind of an animal. Okay, that's why I told you that under the complete metamorphosis process, my dear children, when we are usually kids, when we are like when we are going to our kindergarten, right, we caught small tadpoles from different ponds and even we took them to home because we don't know those things were frogs. Okay, because we don't know those things were frogs. So our our childhood memories, we don't know, we never knew that those things were frogs. After coming home, then we are going to insert that into our fish tank or to the pond. Then our parents are the ones who is going to tell that these things are going to be frog within a later time, remove them, otherwise they will eat your fish. That was the day that we knew these tadpoles are the ones who are becoming a frog on a later date. It's because we are getting tricked. If we don't know, definitely we are getting tricked. That is how the complete metamorphosis works. That is, what do you mean by the complete metamorphosis? The body structure is entirely getting changed, my dear children. We can't even see it. We can't even observe it very clearly. Whether that organism is getting converted into that kind of an organism in the future. Okay, so in the same way, the same process can be observed within the butterfly as well. So if you check the butterfly and the second stage of the butterfly, which is the larva or the caterpillar, there is a dramatical change within their feeding mechanism, type of food, way of locomotion, and also. So here The larva is mainly walking on the leaves. They have like legs-like structures for their locomotion, but however, there are no such, it has legs, butterfly has legs, right? They have appendages to walk, but however, these legs-like structures cannot be directly identified within the caterpillar. And you can observe that the wings are not even developed within the caterpillar itself. Wings cannot be seen at all within the caterpillar, right? This adult organism or adult butterfly is getting entirely developed within the cocoonal stage or the pupal stage. So therefore, my dear children, caterpillar is showing way more different features than the adult butterfly. So these are the important features that we can identify within the each stage, within the each life stage of a butterfly, right? Each life stage of the butterfly, we can observe these features, my dear children. Then, okay, so we have discussed two main life cycles up to now. I told you that we are mainly discussing about three life cycles within this, right? Three life cycles, mainly three life cycles. Then after that, there are two other life cycles also, right? Life cycle of a fruit fly, then a mosquito also. But however, mainly we are discussing about three life cycles here. So we already discussed two. These two are life cycle of a frog, then life cycle of a butterfly. Now the third one, the life cycle of a cockroach. So you know that cockroach is a simple organism. Simple organism means actually this organism or the cockroach is carrying out, or it's going to undergo incomplete metamorphosis, undergoes in incomplete metamorphosis. So that's why I told you that this is a simple creature. Means that the nymph which is coming out after the hatching of egg, it's similar to the structure of a adult cockroach. So therefore, my dear children, right, it is showing incomplete metamorphosis. So it's like unlike the earlier cases, studying about the life cycle of a cockroach is somewhat easier rather than the other two cases. Okay, now let's head on to see what are the special things that we can observe within the life cycle of a cockroach. So after eggs are hatched, a nymph is born. Although the nymph is smaller in size, is physically similar to the adult. So we know already this thing, right? Nymph is somewhat similar to the adult. Only thing which is getting changed is the size. All the other features are same. They not possess wings, right? Actually here we need to add do. They do not possess wings. In your textbook there is a small bit of a error. So I'll mention do. In your textbook also the same thing can be observed. So I'll mention the do thing here. So they do not possess wings. Okay, so they do not possess wings. These nymphs, they do not possess wings, means they can't fly. In nymphal stage, they are not sexually matured. They are not sexually matured means that in the nymphal stage, they will not be able to reproduce. These organisms cannot lay eggs in simple. They can't reproduce, they can't lay eggs in the nymphal stage. Nymphs become adults by passing number of nymphal stages by shedding their exoskeleton. So I told you that if you take the nymph contains a good exoskeleton. As they do not have wings, they contains a good exoskeleton. So when the nymph is getting developed into a cockroach gradually, right? what happens? This nymph is going to shed the exoskeleton or the outer body covering gradually, and upon shedding the exoskeleton, finally the wings come out. So that's the adult stage of the cockroach. Nymphal stage is, like that's the teenage stage, teenage and childish stage of the cockroach. When it is getting converted into an adult cockroach, this exoskeleton is going out, or it's going to shed the exoskeleton and getting converted into a cockroach in here. So those stages can be clearly observed within each of these figures. See, so eggs, then the nymph who is coming out, nymph, then nymph is getting gradually developed into a caterpillar. Nymph is gradually developed into a, here you can observe, nymph is now gradually developed into a cockroach, adult cockroach. Then finally this adult cockroach is going to shed almost all the exoskeleton and become even more adult like this. So the adult cockroach now has wings like this. So the exoskeleton, as you can see here, the exoskeleton now completely been disappeared. Then that adult cockroach once again lay eggs in order to continue their life process. So this is how the life cycle of cockroach works, my dear children. Right then, so this is how cockroach are going to survive within our environment. They're going to show different stages, life cycle stages, but however, those stages are not having that much differences. Okay, these differences are not that much significant. Okay, right then. So my dear children, as we discussed, mainly I told you that we'll be discussing only 3 life stages within the lesson part of the life cycles of animals. So later on we'll be discussing another 2 life cycles related to the animals, life cycles of a mosquito and life cycle of a fruit fly. But however, we'll be mainly focusing about only 3 life cycles. Like in the earlier case, we discussed about the life cycle of a butterfly, life cycle of a frog, and the life cycle finally of a cockroach. Okay, so 2 of these organisms undergoes in complete metamorphosis. Frog undergoes in complete metamorphosis, then the butterfly undergoes in complete metamorphosis. So in a complete metamorphosis, my dear children, you could observe dramatical changes within each stage of life cycle. Okay, then cockroach is an organism, right? Cockroach is an organism who is going to do, or who is going to carry out incomplete metamorphosis. Complete metamorphosis is carried out by butterfly and the frog. Incomplete metamorphosis carried out by the cockroach. So we studied recently about the life cycle of a cockroach who is undergoing in a incomplete metamorphosis. Okay, so now it's time to study about the life cycle of a plant. So unlike the life cycle of animals, life cycle of a plant is very simple, my dear children. Like humans, rats, life cycle of a plant is also very similar to life cycle of rats and humans and dogs, cats, like, and so on. It's because that here the after, now first thing is that seeds should be developed, and after the seed, the plantlet or the seedling which is coming out is pretty much similar to the adult plant. Then gradually it is getting developed and converted into an adult plant. So that's why I told you that the life cycle of a plant, life cycle of a flowering plant is similar to the life cycle of organisms like rat and human and all the other like cats and dogs? It's because that they are also the same after coming out to the world, right, from mature or adult organisms or by eggs. They also grow in a same way, right? They also grow in a same way. If you take the birds coming out from eggs. If you take humans are coming out, or humans are giving birth to young ones. So these young ones are very similar to the adult humans. Okay. Cats also do the same. Dogs also do the same. Rats also do the same. The young ones which are coming from the adult mother is pretty much similar to the adults. Okay, only thing which is going to differ is the size. However, the appearance is way more similar, right? Appearance and the other morphological features are similar. So in the same way, my dear children, birds also produce, or birds also going to show same process of life cycle. Unlike the animals like rat, man, cats and dogs, these organisms are producing eggs. Then the eggs is hatching out and a bird is coming out, right? So that small bird coming out from the hatched egg, so that small bird is pretty much similar to the bird or the adult bird. Okay, in the beginning they don't have feathers, but however when the feathers are going to grow gradually, right, their body structure is very similar to the adult bird. In the same way, my dear children, if you take a plant seed is the one which starts the life process or the life cycle of a plant, especially in a flowering plant, right? In a flowering plant, seed is the first and foremost stage of the life cycle. Then seed is getting converted into a seedling or else a plantlet. Then if you take the plantlet, that plantlet is, after growing to a certain level, that plantlet is very similar to the mature plant. Okay, very similar to the mature plant. Then gradually that plantlet is growing and converting into a mature plant. So the plant, if you take a plant's life cycle is pretty much similar to the life cycle of those organisms which I have mentioned earlier. Same process can be observed. There are no any dramatical morphological features. Okay, so flowering plants also pass different stages from seed germination to growing into a mature plant. So they pass different stages. That's correct. Like us, the plants are also going to pass different stages. That is correct. Let us engage in activity given to find out more about the life cycles of flowering plants. So in the earlier chapter, when we are discussing about the life cycles of organisms, we studied this thing, right? We studied about the life cycle of plants, my dear children, right? So what you have to do, it's really simple. You have to repeat the same activity once more. So you will be needing some pictures showing the life cycles of flowering plants. And my dear children, how to do this method? It's very simple. Observe the pictures well. Get the help of your teacher. So I'm the one. So I have it right now with me. So I'm going to explain. I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to explain what is going to happen within the figures, each figures. Okay. So it's not to mention that you already learned this thing, but however, under this activity, we'll be learning it once more. Then write the stages of life cycle in order. Then we have to write down the stages of life cycle within the plant. Okay, within the plant life cycle. So let's head on to see the figures, my dear children. So like I said, it's really simple. the coconut tree, the life cycle of coconut tree is given within this figure. As you can see, the coconut seed is there. This is the coconut seed. Then coconut seed is developing into a seedling or to a small plantlet like this. Then after some time, the plantlet or the seedling is going to grow into a mature plant. The same thing can be observed within the sweet corn plant as well. The sweet corn seed, right? Sweet corn seed which is coming out from the plant, mature plant, is going to develop into a sweet corn plantlet or else a seedling. Then this seedling is getting developed into a mature plant in order to produce seeds once again. Then seeds are again getting converted into a seedling when they are being exposed to the environment with necessary conditions. So that's how these flowering plants going to cycle their life, or they are going to spend their life, how to continue their life, right? So these plants are going to carry out like a similar life cycle to organisms like us, humans. Only thing which is getting changed here is they are coming out from a seed, but we are being born to the world, right? We are also similar to our parents. These seedlings are also similar to the parents. Okay. So my dear children, this is the life cycle of a flowering plant. Usually plants show this kind of a life process. So when you go further with the lesson, you can see that there are 3 stages of a flowering plant. There are 3 stages of a flowering plant, my dear children. So the 3 stages of a life cycle of a flowering plant can be represented like this. Seed, and from the seed, a seedling, right? A seedling or else a small plantlet is coming out. So that small plantlet or the seedling is now gradually changing by taking the nutrition and all necessary conditions, favorable conditions, then gradually getting developed into a what? A mature plant. A mature plant. Then mature plant is once again producing flowers and seeds in order to produce a good and a healthy seed. Actually, not the seeds which are getting produced. Mature plant is going to produce flowers and fruits. Within the fruits, seed can be observed. Okay, within the fruit, seed can be observed. That's the quite obvious case in a flowering plant. So my dear children, these seeds then finally again converting into a seedling or else to a plantlet. Then that plantlet is getting gradually developed into a mature plant. Okay, mature plant. This is how the life process of a plant works. It's really simple, right? So there are 3 key stages within a life cycle of a plant, my dear children. So these key stages are: number 1, the seed, okay, the seed, then the seedling or the plantlet, the small bit of plant which is coming out from the seed. Then after several years and several days, months or years for each of the plant, that may change, my dear children. I can't exactly say which one is going with days, which one is going with months, which one is going from years. From plant to plant, the time period is going to change. So seedling is getting now after some time, you can say the some time. So after some time, seedling is now getting converted into a mature plant. So this is how the life cycle of a flowering plant, right? This is how the life cycle of a flowering plant spend its life. Okay, starting from seed to seedling to a mature plant. Then again that mature plant is producing flowers and fruits from that seeds, then seeds to seedling or to a plantlet, then to a mature plant. So this is how the life cycle of a plant works. Okay, Right, my dear children. So within this chapter, we mainly discussed about the life cycles of organisms once again. Especially we discussed about these life cycles in detail with furthermore clarifications and different features also. So we studied about the life cycle of cockroach, frog and the butterfly. Then about the life cycle of flowering plants. Okay. Right then. So you are given with an assignment, another assignment, my dear children. Now you have to continue or you have to do this thing within your home, right? It's quite easy to do. So what you have to do, this is very interesting and very simple. Collect some seed and fruits of some plants that can be easily found. So you have to find out or collect some seeds, okay, some seeds, small seeds that can be easily found and easily grown. So examples are given: grass, love grass, chilies and tomato. Okay, chilies and tomato. Because these things are like, if you're going to throw it, then definitely at there, definitely a plantlet or else a plant is going to grow, and it won't take that much time period as well, right? Growing, they grow very fast or quite fast. So it's easy to find out like these plants when we are doing this assignment. Okay, otherwise you can take other different plants as well, but however they would take much more time. So it's quite easy to carry out this experiment or this assignment by using these types of plants which has very less lifespan. So collect the flowers of those plants. So that's why I told you that we have to wait for the flowers as well. So we have to collect flowers of these things. If you take a plant like jack, then it will take years to take flowers. So it's not convenient. Okay. So these plants, they will grow quite fast. So it's easy to collect flowers from them. Okay. So what you have to do is take a plant like mentioned above and allow it to grow, and my dear children, take some flowers of it. Okay, you have to take some flowers of it. Then press them, keeping between the pages of a paper for some days. So what you have to do, you have to take the flowers and the plants, you have to keep them under a book or else under a good weight. Then you have to dry them quite well, right? You have to dry them. Don't insert these things into your textbooks, my dear children. It's not convenient and it's not proper, because you have to hand these things over to your next generation. So don't waste your textbooks for these things. Don't do that thing at all, because if you keep that thing under your textbooks, right, it will definitely ruin your pages. So it's not wise to do that kind of thing. Don't do it, right? Do find out somewhat else, or find out somewhat older books. You can use books which you already been used in previous grades, not in the textbooks, but I'm talking about the writing books. You can use these things. Or else, my dear children, you can keep just a paper or several papers. Then you can keep a weight. That is also okay, no problem. So however, you have to dry out these things, these specimens, flowers and plants, okay, so that you can get each stages, you can paste each stages very clearly. Okay, so then finally use them and try to present the life cycle of each plant. Then what do you have to do after pressing these things, right? After drying out and present these things, what do you have to do? You can represent the life cycle of these plants by using those dried out, figure like structures. Actually, when we are going to dry out by using a certain weight, it's getting converted into a 2D shape, right? So it's like a figure like structure as it is getting converted into a 2D structure, right? So you can represent this thing, right, by pasting a sellotape or any other material. You can paste it by using an A4 cover or else in a demi paper, then even you can take this thing to your school, and you can represent this thing within your school as well on the walls, right? So at your home, my dear children, you conduct this assignment. It's quite interesting, right? And it won't take much time as well. It will take like 2 or 3 months. If you do it well, then you will be able to do within 2 or 3 months. Okay, so you carry out this thing at your home, right? Find out some plants which are easily grown and which is giving flowers quite fast. Then it would make the work much more easy. Okay, so conduct this activity within your home, do this assignment at your home, and represent or present these things. Get the life cycle of these plants, right? So I hope that you will conduct this thing at your home, my dear children. Right, so within this chapter, mainly we focused with the life cycles of organisms, and we studied about three main life cycles of 3 animals and the life cycle of flowering plants, my dear children. So as we have studied all of these life cycles now, it's time to discuss several important or key features of studying these life cycles. Why do we need to study about these life cycles? What is the purpose? So that purpose will be discussed, my dear children, within our next chapter. So let's meet you with the next chapter to study about the importance of studying life cycles of organisms.